Ah, this should do the trick. If I stand on this, I should be just about able to reach the laughing powder.
Hello, Magician!
Come on, Snodgrass!
What's that?
Oh, Magician!
Hello,
Oh, we had a
hello.
lovely walk in it.
Oh.
Magician? What do you think you're doing?
Oh, I'm just trying to reach this flask of laughing powder.
But look what you're standing on.
Huh? What, that? Oh, yes, that's my old spell book. You see, I couldn't reach the top shelf unless I stood on something.
But you shouldn't stand on a book. That's a terrible thing to do.
Toby's right, Magician. You'll get the book all dirty and you might even damage it.
You've told us off for not looking after our books.
Well, yes, I know I have.
And here
but-
you are, wiping your feet all over that spell book. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Well, I suppose it was a little thoughtless of me, but you see, now I've got my new spell book. Well, this old one isn't much use to me.
That's no excuse.
Poor Toby. You gave him a good telling off.
Well, he deserved it.
And you sounded ever so grown up when you said, that's no excuse.
Yes, he did, didn't he?
Did what?
Well, we were just saying how grown up Toby was getting these days.
Yes, now that you mention it, he does seem quite grown up. You've been with me for quite some time now, haven't you?
Yes, I think it's been about 4 years.
As much as that? Then perhaps you're ready.
Ready for what?
Ready for something that all Spelldragons should have.
Oh. What should I have?
A spell book of your own.
A spell book of my own?
Yes, why not? As I told you, this old one is no use to me now that I got the new one, and besides, there are lots of spells in here that you can do already.
Oh, yes, but there are things I can't do.
Well, don't worry, you'll soon learn them if you work hard.
Oh,
Well, what do you say? Would you like it?
what do I say? Oh, of course I'd like it. Oh, yes, please. I can't think of anything in the world I'd rather have.
Then you shall have it. We must make a ceremony.
A what a money?
A ceremony.
Yes, Snodgrass. You see, giving someone their first spell book is a very special thing. You don't just hand the book over, you, well, look, I'll show you. Music! On this special day, the time has come to say, Toby Spelldragon, now that you've grown, you're big enough to have a spell book of your own. Toby Spelldragon, I proudly present you with your very own spell book.
Oh, what a lovely ceremony.
Oh,
Goodness me,
Toby.
Toby. Listen, me.
Toby, are you all right?
a bit heavy, isn't it?
Well, a bit too heavy for you by the looks of things.
What a shame. So you won't be able to use it after all, Toby.
Oh, I don't know, Snodgrass. We should be able to shrink that with a magic spell.
Oh, what a good idea. Now, I think if you make one about that size, that would be just right for Toby.
Lovely.
Good. Cauldron, my old spell book is a bit too big for Toby. We need to shrink it a bit.
Well, if it's a shrinking spell you want, you'll need something beginning with... What's the matter? Why are you shushing me? Do you want me to be quiet?
No, I'm not shushing you, Cauldron. I only meant that we need something beginning with shh.
Oh,
Shoe!
Oh, well done, Snodgrass. Hand it over.
I can't. I don't wear shoes. I haven't got any feet to put them on.
Of course. Silly me. I know, I better use one of mine. Here you are, Cauldron.
Thank you, magician. Now we need a color beginning with B for book.
A book. Oh, well, that's easy. There's blue, black, brown, and I think there's a brown bottle on the shelf somewhere. And let me see. I don't want a green one. Don't want a clear one. Ah, yes, here we are. A brown bottle.
Splendid. Now the magic tune goes...
Pom, 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 pom. Oh, my goodness, I remembered it. Come on, everybody. Pom, 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 pom. Now the magic clap. And finally, the magic rhyme. Puddle, muddle, muddle, puddle, now before your very eyes. Muddle, puddle, puddle, muddle, make this spell book Toby's size.
Very good. Well done, magician. I couldn't have done that spell better myself.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say so, Toby. And in return, I promise I won't do any tricks with it, like making it disappear.
Disappear?
You made it disappear when it was my spell book.
Oh, Toby did that? Why?
Well, he had a very good reason for doing it. Don't you remember, Toby?
Oh, yes, I remember. I did it to save Jeremy and Miranda Mouse.
I don't understand. How could making a book vanish save Jeremy and Miranda?
Well, we'll see if we go and look in the puddle, won't we?
Good idea.
Come on.
Come on.
Now, Snodgrass. Now we'll find out what happened.
Ready?
Toby Spelldragon was at the window of the magician's room, looking down into the garden, watching Jeremy, Miranda and Chestnut Mouth playing around a flower pot. But he wasn't the only one watching them. Tom Cat was outside in the lane, looking under the gate. Very softly, Tom Cat crept into the garden. Chestnut saw Tom Cat's tail. He shouted a warning and disappeared down a hole. Jeremy and Miranda dived down into the flower pot. Tom Cat leapt over to the flower pot. He stood up and put his paws on top of it. He could smell mice, and he could hear mice, but he couldn't see mice. He looked down the hole. Jeremy and Miranda Mouse were down there at the bottom, looking up at him. The magician was sitting writing at his table. He was writing a book about magic, and he had just got to a very difficult spell. Toby Spelldragon hurried across the room. "Stop writing," said Toby. "You've got to do something. Tom Cat's in the garden." "Go away and don't bother me," said the magician. Toby muttered a spell and twitched his tail. The magician's pen vanished. "Toby," said the magician, "where's my pen?" "Come and look out of the window," said Toby. "I will, in a few minutes," said the magician, "but I've got to finish this." Toby twitched his tail. The magician's pen reappeared on the table, but the book vanished. "Toby," said the magician. "Come to the window," said Toby. "Tom Cat's trying to eat Jeremy and Miranda." "What?" cried the magician. He ran to the window and looked down into the garden through his telescope. Tom Cat had just discovered that he could rock the flower pot to and fro. There wasn't time for a spell. The magician seized his horn and blew it hard. The Gruffle was in the garden. He heard the horn and came rushing round the corner of the house. He saw Tom Cat and he roared in fury. A great puff of fire shot out of his mouth towards Tom Cat. Tom Cat leapt sideways and fled towards the gates with the Gruffle after him. He shot under the gate and rushed away down Puddle Lane as fast as he could run. The Gruffle watched him go. Then he turned back into the garden. Jeremy and Miranda were just climbing out of the flower pot. The Gruffle was terrified of mice. He took one horrified look and vanished in a puff of smoke. Jeremy and Miranda rushed safely back to the hole in the hollow tree.
So you see, Toby had a very good reason for making my spellbook disappear.
Yes, and the pen. Was it easy to make them vanish, Toby?
Oh, yes, quite easy for someone who can do magic.
Is that spell in your spellbook, Toby?
Let's go and see, shall we?
Yes, come on.
Now, there you are.
Now, I don't need to look, Auntie Flo. I can remember what I did. I muttered a spell. I twitched my tail. I stared very hard at it like this. And... Oh dear. Look what I've done.
Really, Toby, that was very careless of you, making your spellbook disappear.
I didn't mean to. I was just showing Snodgrass.
Has it gone for good?
Well, no, it should still be there, but it's invisible now, so we can't see it.
No, but we should be able to feel it. There it is. Yes, it's there.
You won't be able to use it if you can't see it.
I know that, Snodgrass. Snodgrass? Snodgrass?
Grass?
Oh,
Yes?
Dear.
where are you?
Now look what you've done, Toby. You glared at poor Snodgrass so hard, you've made him invisible too.
Am I invisible? I don't feel invisible.
No, but you are. We can't see you.
Core, how exciting. I've never been invisible before. I could have all sorts of fun, pulling faces at people and they wouldn't know I was doing it. Like this. Core, that was a horrible face I just pulled at you then, Toby.
Yes, but Snodgrass, you don't want to stay invisible forever, do you? Shall I magic you back? Snodgrass? Are you there?
Yes, of course I am.
Well, why don't you answer the magician?
I did. I nodded at him, like this. When you nod at somebody, it means yes.
I know that, but we can't see you nodding.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, dear, this is getting silly. Magician, can't you do something?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Maybe I'm not so grown up after all. Maybe I don't deserve my own spellbook.
Oh, don't worry, Toby. It'll be all right, just so long as you use it carefully and think about what you're doing.
Do you think so?
Yeah, no harm done.
No.
I like being invisible. You should have seen the face I made at you. Like this!
What?